This is Amud Yomi Gemara in Shabbos Daf Chof Tes Amud Aleph, and we pick it up at the very bottom of Chof Ches Amud Beis. And the Gemara asks on that which Rav Ada bar Rava just said. We're in the middle of discussing the reason why, when you have a beged, a garment, a small garment that's folded over and not singed, whether you would be allowed to light with it on Shabbos. Says the Gemara in the commentaries of Ada bar Rava, leave it to Rav Yehuda. The fact that we answered according to Rav Yehuda as the first to Kuliyama we said was that everyone agrees you can light with kalim, you just cannot light with shivrei kalim. Shema Mino would seemingly imply that Rav Ada bar Rava himself was Kirav Yudas Firle. But I asked the Gemara, Mi Rav Ada bar Rava Hachi, does Rav Ada really hold that? V'amar Rav Ada bar Rava, as we turn over to Chavtas Amud Aleph, Nachi Shechochak Kav Bibekas Yisrael. If a guy carved out a log of a Jew on Yantif, a Masikin Ba Yantif, and then you're allowed to light with it on Yantif. Who that was created on Yantif. So clearly Rav Ada bar Rava does not subscribe to that which Rav Yehuda said, that which was created on Yantif, you're not allowed to light with. That Shivrei Kalim you cannot light with. Answers Gemara, the Jay and Rav Lezer Rav Akiva's Kamer Lei, V'lei Lo Shirle. You're right. Rav Ada bar Rava himself doesn't hold of this, but he was responding to Rav Akiva, explaining, I should say, the shitas of Rav Akiva and Rav Eliezer. Continues the Gemara, Rav Amar. So that's one shot in the machlekes, whether you let a light with this folded up beged as a wick that was not singed or not. Rav Amar, 3 lines down, Chavtes Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, second shot. Hi, new time with Rav Eliezer. This is the reason of Yishain Malikim B'Sila. You're not allowed to light on Shabbos the wick that was not charred. Nor with rags that were not charred. Why? Because they don't light well. And that's the reason why you cannot use them. But ask the Gemara, what was the halacha that Rav Yosef taught about 3x3? Says the Gemara, different halacha. Linyan Tomot, it's not. Is aside for the hem of the garment, the actual garment itself has to be 3x3. But if there's a little bit with the head, different Rav Shimon. Including the hem, that's when it's subject to Tama. That was the halacha that Rav Yosef taught about Shabbos mitzum tzamais. Continues the Gemara. Let's go a little bit deeper into the halacha that we brought up on yesterday, which we just started with today, which is this din of Rav Yehuda regarding noilad, regarding lighting with the shivrei kalim, which we said because they broke in Yantif, it's considered noilad. It came into this world on Yantif, therefore you cannot utilize it on Yantif. Where the 2 dots, 12 lines down, Chavtes Amud Aleph, Rav Yehuda Merav. Ma'asikin be'kalim, one is let a light of fire with kalim in ma'asikin b'shivrei kalim, different Rav Yehuda. Whereas Rav Shimon is mat. Explains the Gemara, ma'asikin b'tamarim. You're allowed to light a fire with dates in Yantiv. Avlein masikim begarinim, with their pits. The pits are not allowed. They were born, they were created, they came out of the date on Yantiv. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Shimon Matir. Masikin be'goizim, a third case with nuts, a cholon. If you want to eat the nuts on Yantiv, masikin be'klip oisem, you're not allowed to light with their shells, because they are not allowed. Rav Shimon Matir. Says the Gemara, so 3 cases in which Rav Yehuda and Rav Shimon argue with regard to Noilad, and explains the Gemara, Sricha. In reality, we need all 3 cases. The Ashwini Kamais only said the first case, our case. The case of, the first case we quoted of a broken utensil. I would have thought become Rav Yehuda Mishon the Meikar Kli Vasha Shaver Kli. Before Yantiv, it was a full-fledged utensil, and now it is broken. Vavli Noilad Vasa, therefore it came as this world on Yantiv and it's forbidden. Avol Tamarim, Demikarim Garidin, Vashta Garidin, the pits were always there. Ema Shaber Dami. I would have thought it's not a problem. The Ashvini Garidin, only taught the case of the date pits, I would have thought. Originally, they were covered, and now they're just revealed. You didn't create anything. And, and maybe that's the reason why that case we would consider noilad. Avol klibe gaisim, which are always right there in front of you. Sricha, that's the reason why we need all 3 cases. Continues the Gemara, V'hadirav. So now that we know the reason why we had to list all 3 cases, ask the Gemara, smack him in the Amid, the first word in line is Dami Sricha, V'hadirav. And that which Rav said, that pits that are left over from the dates are, yes, considered noilad. La beferish itmar, he never said that explicitly. Ela mechlala itmar, we inferred it from elsewhere. Rav ochal tamri v'shadikash yasa libochya. Rav ate dates one weekday, and he threw the pits into an oven for fuel. Armli Rav Chia said to him, Bar Paschi, Kinegdoi b'yom tev aser. And from there, that's what we learned out, that they would have a din of noilad. So now that we know that this din was never stated explicitly, Kibla minei or loy Kibla minei. Did Rav actually accept what Rav Chia said? Rav Chia was the one that said it was noilad. Was Rav maskim? Says the Gemara Tashima. T'chiyaza Rav Libavel ochel tamri dates. V'shalikas yasach chayvasa, and he threw the pits to the animals. My love, says the Gemara b'parsaya v'loy kible. Seemingly happened with the Persian dates, whose the fruit does not stick to the date. So since the pits of such dates have no fruit on them at all, and therefore they're considered noilad. So what do we see from over here? We see v'loy kibla. We see that he did not, from the fact that Rav fed these pits to the animals, he did not consider them noilad, and he held you can get benefit from them. Says the Gemara, no raya loy baramaisa. Those were Armenian dates. Oil v'chaziak avarmayu. Since there's some fruit that sticks to the pit, therefore they still are fit at some level. Therefore, that's why Rav did not consider them noilad. Continues the Gemara, and therefore we don't have a raya whether Rav accepted the din of Rav Chia or not. But asks the Gemara, Amalei Rav Shmuel bar Rav Chana l'Rav Yosef l'Rav Yehuda. Let's go back. What did Rav Yehuda say? Rav Yehuda, Damar Masikin b'Kelim, Masikin b'Shevrei Kelim. They are only allowed to put Kelim utensils into the fire and not Shevrei Kelim. Kivan da'alik be'porta. Why don't we ask the same reason why we said you can't use this garment that was folded over? Was why, according to the opinion that was Machmer? Because the moment a dot of it lights, it's what? Avalei Shvevrei Kli. Chika Mahabech. And then therefore later, when you stoke this fire, what happens? B'Yisura kama habech, meaning because Rav Yehuda holds you can light with the full kli, not the broken kli. 1 second, as the broken kli is burning, as the full kli is burning, it becomes a broken kli, so it should become muksa. Therefore, you should not be able to stoke that fire on Yontif. Answers the Gemara, the Avik Rav Nasna. We're talking about a case that he did like Rav Nasna. The Amar Rav Nasna, Rav Eitzah Shenashim, and Adek Latana b'Yontif, branches fell from a tree into an oven and yantim mar be'itim chuvanim. You had to add on extra wood in there, umasikin, and burn it. And even though when you later stoke it, it's going to be noilad, mamish came straight off a tree, still it is allowed. So to over here, that's what Rav Yehuda is gonna hold. Says the Gemara, shot number 1 as to understanding whether these wicks are tuma. Now we go into another shot. Rav Hamnuna Amar, says Rav Hamnuna, we're dealing with a piece of cloth that is less than 3 by 3 tfachim. This is a special kula of matzlaniyos of rags. Rav Akiva l'tameid. Ditnan. Again, we're going back to the Mishnah and explaining the machlekes of Elazar and Rav Akiva with regarding to toma. Ditnan. Pachs b'shleisha again tfachim. She'eskinu lepekak boys Americas, they're designated to plug up the pipes in the bathhouse. Ulenarabos a kedera, and to pour out the contents of a boiling pot. It's like a hot glove. Ulekanech boys rechaim, to wipe out the millstone. Bein min amuchan, whether it is in a way that these rags were prepared. Ben she'ena min amuchan tamei, they are tamei. Because the mere fact that you save this rag, you save that old undershirt to use for such a usage, that designates it as a usage, and therefore it no longer is the original beged. Therefore, Divrei Rav Eliezer, Rav Yeshua Imer Bein Min Amuchan Ubein Shalom Min Amuchan Tar. It is tar. It is not Mikabel Tuma anymore, because the fact that you save it doesn't mean that it's something chashiv. Therefore, it's tar. So again, the first opinion holds it's tamei. Why? Because the fact that you kept it shows at some level it's a garment for you. Therefore, it's mikabel tama. According to the second opinion, according to Yeshua, it is not. If it's prepared, you have shlam min amuchan tahar. And those are going to be the 3 opinions. And we'll begin tomorrow as Ula is going to further this discussion, explaining the nuances in the world of Tumah between these 3 shitas, which of course is thereby explaining the din in our Mishnah on the machlekes, whether it's Makabel Tumah or not.